out of my time, put ice on your chain, I'm feeling your pain, the love that you gave, they took it in.
If it's false propaganda, why, for instance, should it have been propagated by Malcolm X?
I like this. I'm not trying to be funny, and I hope the people don't laugh.
Sure.
But I barely got out of high school, and the word propagated by Malcolm X. What do you mean?
Well, I mean, Malcolm X came back, as you know, from the Mideast, and renounced the movement of Elijah Muhammad, precisely on the grounds that it was not the same kind of Islam faith, which he found very attractive.
Well, I would like to say one thing about. I don't know too much about what he saw. But he was there in 1959, I think, before, and he saw that there were white Muslims. But Malcolm X got famous mainly being hard on people like you, white people, white devils, you blue-eyed, blonde-headed dog. Oh, he got famous like this. And he had made so many white enemies. Whites cared nothing about Malcolm, nor so-called Negroes when he was with Donovan Elijah Muhammad. But they seemed to love and follow dead leaders. People, but I would like to say this.
White people didn't kill him.
No, I would like to say this. He was a man, everything he had came from Donovan Elijah Muhammad. And when he denounced or was put out for various reasons of the faith, then he had to, from what I understood, this is me talking, I'll be to blame if I say anything wrong, he had to get back with you all. And he, in other words, he seemed to be apologizing for things that he had said because the protection of Allah and the Muslims were not with him. But I would like to say that we are
you think that he tried to make himself pleasing to the white community
because
he had antagonized
This is
Elijah
me
Muhammad.
talking. This is not antagonize him, but antagonize you.
No, but you say that...
I would like to say that whites jumped right behind him. They're making a book about him. There's required reading in all colleges now, and they're making a movie about him and projecting him as the leader. And if you read his book and see the movie that's coming out, it'll make you hate Elijah Muhammad and the Muslims. Mainly, this is done to turn the black people against the real leader. And I like to say that this is the way white people rule. This is your history, divide and conquer. See, the first whites, your fathers, when they came over, they choked Cochise, that running bull, stole his horses. Then after they got through fighting, and they came in and took over. And whites have always put one against another. And now they have a dead man who was nothing but and he admitted himself, Malcolm, was a tramp, had white women selling the body for him. He was nothing until the Honorable Elijah Muhammad made him great. Made him great. Taught him, even his name, X, come from Elijah. He gave him his name. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad was an established leader before he was born. Now you seem to try to make it look like he was a leader and he was powerful. Everything I have. Let me say one thing. I barely got out of school. I got out of school mainly because I was a champion. I actually didn't pass. I won't name the teachers that put me through. But you are a wise man. You're an intelligent man. And if I was not a Muslim or a follower of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, I couldn't talk to you for 2 minutes. And I believe I can hold my own as an intelligent conversation with you. But it all comes from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. But people praise me. Oh, you should be the leader. Well, you don't have to follow Elijah. Man, are you a fool? Everything I got come from him. He taught me who I was. He made me proud. He made me fearless. He made me love my own. I've turned down millions and to keep from selling out my people. The beautiful name Muhammad Ali. I now have 56 Muslim invitations by governments. All they ask me about when I go to those countries, how is Elijah Muhammad? White people, twice a day, 65 and 70, their bus stop in front of Elijah Muhammad's house, hoping to get a glimpse of him. And you cannot destroy me like you have other big ministers of his in the past by telling us, oh, you speak good, you should be the leader. See, this is to get me thinking that I'm smart. And as soon as I leave Elijah, you can get me. But as long as I stay with Donovan Elijah Muhammad, I'm safe. And if Malcolm X has stayed with the man that made him great, taught him everything he knew, today he'd been big, big, big. But as soon as, in other words, how can I come to your son and say you are wrong for spanking him when you fed him, you clothed him, you gave him his name, you birthed him in the world? Who am I to come in and be the judge and say, why did you spank that boy? You taught him, you have a right to spank him. And Malcolm X did some things. He said something about Kennedy that he shouldn't have said. 130 whites died tragically on a jet. He praised it. And Honorable Elijah Muhammad is not the kind of man to ordain it. So he had to spank him. And after you white people had told him how good he talked, he should be the leader, he couldn't take the spanking. He had to run out and start him a movement, and that's when you destroyed him. You understand? See, so I would say whites destroyed Malcolm X.
I understand what you say. I understand what you say, and I don't doubt either the sincerity or the eloquence of your tribute to Elijah Muhammad, but I do think that assuming that we are prepared to question the divinity of Elijah Muhammad, then one has to assume that somebody like Malcolm X, when he turned against him, might have been doing so for honest, sincere reasons. That is to say, he might have thought, well, I've been following this man for a number of years, but all of a sudden, I have reached a level of understanding which permits me to see that he's pretty human after all, and that beyond a certain point, he doesn't have anything to teach me.
He should have always known that he was human, and not having nothing to teach him.
Some people treat him as though he were divine, you know.
Yeah, well,
the way they did Father Divine would be another example.
And we don't talk about dead people. They're dead and they're gone.
Who's dead?
Malcolm X is dead.
Oh, yes.
And we followed Honorable Elijah Muhammad, who is the boss. And we'd rather not to stay here on the show and waste a lot of time arguing about a dead black man when whites are our common enemies.
Well, no doubt, of course, he teaches you that, and no doubt you understand.
We don't have to teach it. You don't have to teach a black man that whites is his enemy as well.
Well, you see, from my point of view, what Elijah Muhammad is doing to you is diseasing your mind. You sit and tell me that we white people like to divide and conquer.
You do.
I grew up as a white child. I heard much more talk against Democrats than I did against black people. And I grant there's a lot of division in the sense that Republicans are divided.
Democrats and Republicans don't lynch each other and castrate each other and burn each other and target and feather each other and rape and slave for 400 years.
Now, wait a minute. This is...
I would like to ask you a question. I'd like to ask you a question. Who... 22 million black people in America, who would you say our everyday common enemy is? What other country or what nationality? I mean, you know, you have the nerve to be on a TV show like this and look at me like I'm wrong for saying Elijah Muhammad is poisoning you by telling you that we're your enemies. And I feel it and see it every day. And every black man watching this show know you are enemies. And you have the nerve to stand up here and say Elijah Muhammad is poisoning my mind. He cannot teach us that you are enemy. You taught us. And your people daily, Martin Luther King is bumped off unjustly. Adam Clayton Powers bumped off unjustly. They took my title unjustly. They killed Medgar Evers unjustly. All the integrators who love white folks was unjustly kicked out of Washington. They've been deprived of education and poverty throughout the country. They just came back from Vietnam, 12 boys in Chicago, and they sat on the television and they told how white soldiers are teaching Viet Congs to hate them. They fly rebel communist flags, and they doing everything that they can to them right there in Vietnam. Now you're going to tell me that Elijah Muhammad and trying to make the public think that he's poisoning me by teaching us the truth. If here's his latest newspaper.
Now wait a minute.
Here's his latest. Don't hold it now. Here's his latest newspaper. Muhammad Speaks. Now it's full of truth. You can get the paper in every city. You can buy Muhammad Speaks. And if this, I mean, you're a wise man, but I don't think you're too much wiser than the ones who run the country in the White House.
Much wiser.
No.
Let me try to make this point.
No one challenges nothing he teaches. You're intelligent, I'm intelligent. We all know he's here. So I'm not here to tell you something you don't know about.
No. I'm simply telling you that you believe something which I happen to know isn't true.
Now hold it. See, what is it that I believe?
You believe
it's not true.
You believe that the entire white community is your enemy. I happen to know it's not your enemy. I doubt if there's anybody in this room who is your enemy.
I'll tell you what.
But I do believe that just as Hitler persuaded all the Germans to believe that all of the Jews were their enemy, that the people are engaged in spreading this kind of virulence, and that some very, very sincere people get caught up in it. You're an example of it. And under the circumstances, you end up doing a disservice to the cause that you really want to serve.
Would you say Martin Luther King doing a disservice?
What is the relevance of that remark? whether you went to school or not, explain to me the relevance of that remark.
I'm asking you the question. You said I'm doing a dis.
You mean because he was killed by a white man?
No.
So I said Malcolm X was killed by a black man.
I'm not talking about that.
So what else is new?
No, you're getting upset. I'm not talking about that.
Well,
all I asked you was Elijah Muhammad is doing a disservice or whatever it is that he's doing.
Yeah.
Well,
at one level he's doing it.
What's the level?
At the level of trying to persuade people that all white people are the same and despise Negro people.
All right, now number one.
At the level in which he urges you to self-pride, the rest of it he's doing you a great service.
Let's look at some of the things he's doing.
Excuse me one second, be right with you. Go ahead.